What is marriage to me? Marriage is death, but it's also life. It's death in the sense that you die to self completely, and it's a new life as one, as you become one together. Everything that you used to do individually, now you have to think of doing collectively. No more I and me, it becomes us and we.
Marriage to me is two people choosing to commit to each other and also choosing to love and serve each other on a day-to-day basis through the good and the bad, mainly the rough times, because the good times are always easy to get through.
I don't have a lot of good examples, neither on my mother's side or father's side, of what a good marriage, especially a godly marriage, looks like. So for me, I experienced some of the, fallout of that in my first marriage. I was married before 10 years, and I did what I thought I could do to make marriage right by just taking it on myself, not really leaning on God's direction and the expectations of a godly marriage. So I think I learned a lot by trying to follow the lead, the dysfunctional lead that I had. And now I know what it is to have a marriage, that's more godly.
My history with marriage isn't a very positive one. I've seen a few long-term marriages in my family, but learned as I grew up and became an adult that those weren't what I thought them to be. They were either lies or, backed by infidelity, but stuck together by tradition, which is something that I would never want. I want a real, true marriage. Personally, I've been married 3 times, and the first 2 times that I was married, I was not married for the right reasons. I chose a partner that would fit my way is the highway type of mentality, but that was all before I really had a personal relationship with Christ. So the third one is completely different because we both have Christ at the center of our marriage. It is completely different. My previous marriages, I always thought that serving my husband meant submitting to, and I always saw submission as a bad word. So I never wanted to submit, but because he submits to God, I can submit to him because now it's a positive thing for me. So now that I see that he actually does live by the word and he does love me as Christ loved the church, it's so much easier for me to submit to him.
It has caused me to be a leader and understand what being a leader is under Christ. As my wife mentioned, I know that I'm submitted to Christ, so it's easy for her to be submitted to me because it's not a dictatorship. I'm humbly submitting my life to Christ, and she's humbly submitting her life to me, which is allowing us to be submitted together under Christ.
We're just serving each other daily.
Absolutely. By myself, it's hard to see my strengths and weaknesses. It's easy for me to walk out my life thinking I have it all together. I don't really understand the benefits of that oneness type of relationship without my spouse. She's my partner, my life partner, and it seems like my life got 10 times better when I met her. And as we walk through life together versus single and trying to manage this life, there's so much that we go through, but having a partner, a best friend, and someone that I can walk through life vulnerable with together, it makes it all worth it.
Our marriage this time around, with Christ being the leader in it, not only serves to help us and know the importance of it, but also those people that are surrounded by us, whether it be our kids, our friends. We may be the only example that they can see of a good, positive marriage, a loving marriage. So I think it's important that we do it right so that we can set the tone for someone else.
Especially our families.
Yes.
For someone that's not married, what advice would I give to them? I would say that it's the best thing and most challenging thing in your life that you would ever experience stepping into marriage. The best thing in the sense that, like my wife had mentioned earlier, you gain a life partner. You gain vulnerability beyond measure, someone you can be authentic and 100% vulnerable with for the rest of your life. The challenge is that you have to be willing to be vulnerable. And that requires communication like you've never had before in your life. It requires authenticity and openness and the willing to do something or see something from a different perspective.
I would tell a single person that's not married to wait. Be patient, wait on God, and don't settle. Set your morals, your guides, whatever characteristics you want in a mate, and wait on every single one of those. I learned through watching Oprah. She would do, this was a long time ago, she would do a show on your expectations in your mate, and she would tell us to write a list down. Well, I wrote this list years before I met Richard and forgot about it. And he found my diary one day, which is how I got back into it, and I saw that he met every single item on my list. And he also was never the type of man that I ever expected to be with, or I would even go out and look for. So that really told me that God picked this man for me, not just myself, you know. So I would just tell him, don't ever settle. It's worth it, and just try to do it God's way, and everything will work itself out.
The biggest impact our marriage has on my life is stepping into a leadership type of role when I naturally don't think I was much of a leader prior to my marriage. I think I was more shy and reserved, and I think our marriage has allowed me the confidence because of our openness and protection within our marriage, that she respects the fact that I am the head of the household, responsible for making right decisions, but they're godly decisions. So it has totally changed my life. I feel free because we have, in our home and in our marriage, we established that we need to be 100% authentic with each other, even though it may hurt the other one's feelings, but that has allowed me freedom to be confident in telling her how I feel about something, even though it's got to be delivered out of love, but I can be free and actually tell her how I feel. So there's confidence in that.
This marriage has tremendously impacted my life. It's made me a better person. I don't always like to tell him that. I don't want his head to get too big, but it's stopped me from being a selfish person. When you see somebody serving you and loving you, it makes you want to serve and love them just as much. I want to see him happy every day. I want to go that extra mile. I want to be more patient. I want to do those things because he does those same things for me. So it's not just making me a better person in my marriage, but in all my relationships.